welcome to the Tenet podcast. I'm Todd Pearson.
And I'm Wes Brown.
You totally missed your cue.
I know.
Great.
That's all right.
Great. It's already effed up.
Well, anyway, it's a new world out there.
It's a new era.
That's
so
right.
For those of you that have supported us thus far, we've kind of been trying to get our act together to try a few new things, especially in this time that we're living in. And we didn't actually have all the tools or all the skill sets, I should say, to do what we thought we needed to do here. So now we're going to be recording new podcasts, continuing on this journey, talking with artists and what they do and how they make money. And it's especially pertinent in this time and era. But we're going to try to record video as well and try to get a YouTube channel up and running. So we thought we would just take this episode, and kind of check in and talk about where we started, what we're doing now, and where we see this whole thing going. So how you been doing, man?
Yeah, not too bad. Just, kind of hunkering down as much as we can. I'm still working on my day job at Stex Advertising, selling ad specialties, although, things have pretty much come to a screeching halt. I get some orders periodically, but yeah, things have really slowed down. We're not quarantined to our homes yet. The governor hasn't enforced that. The mayor's pushing. In fact, I think Mayor Allender, who we just did a podcast 2 episodes ago, he was actually on the Anderson Cooper show. So talking about South Dakota.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
That was pretty neat.
My son just walked in the room.
That's okay.
Oh my God.
That's what happens when you record live.
Anyway, I guess the rest of the family wasn't informed. So for those,
No, they didn't get the memo.
They didn't get the memo. So for those of you who hadn't figured it out, so I'm recording from my messy office in Lakewood, Colorado, outside of Denver, and Wes is at his home in Rapid City, South Dakota. So if you're going to watch the video portion of this, I apologize, but this is kind of my workspace / office area, and right now I'm actually sharing my space with my wife, who is set up to do her job from home, and it's kind of a catch-all room as well. It usually looks like a paper monster has come into the space and vomited paper everywhere. So that's what it currently looks like.
Well, I got my room set up so it looks like everything is cool, but it's a mess. I got bags behind me of camera gear and recording audio gear and all sorts of stuff. So we're in the same boat, buddy.
Go
ahead.
What?
No, go ahead.
Let's do rock, paper, scissors. No, go.
All right. I was just going to say, so how are things down in Lakewood? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I have not been out very much because when I kind of saw where this is all headed, I kind of, not only did I hunker down, but I went out and stocked up on a bunch of food and stuff, so I didn't have to go out as much. So I made a couple big runs right before everything kind of started to get a little crazy and everybody was on quarantine. So other than those 2 times running out for groceries and stuff at the very beginning, I have not been out very much. I had a couple days that I of work where I was out and about practicing social distancing. And
what was the nature of your work, if you don't mind?
It's weird. So photography. So there is I was actually helping a buddy of mine with some drone work. And so we were downtown a couple days in a row, and it's pretty quiet, kind of interesting. People aren't really social distancing downtown, but I wear my mask. I wear a pair of gloves when I'm out and about, and I have like a certain protocol that I have adopted for when I come home. So I don't plan on being out very often, but when I am, I make sure I'm not bringing anything home, hopefully to the rest of my family.
Right. Well, I was fortunate enough. I have a coworker that has been busy sewing, and she's made masks for like everybody. And so then I was cutting out filters and this last weekend. So I'm all ready for the big COVID-19 impact of Rapid City. Hasn't happened yet. We've have like 8 people infected. Sioux Falls just got hammered at the Smithfield plant. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about that, but
yeah,
it's coming.
People are posting crazy shit about that.
Are they?
Yeah.
I love crazy shit. I read crazy shit all day.
They think it's because of the Chinese. The Chinese own them, so.
Oh, well, it is a Chinese-owned plant. Services about 5% of the population, or 5% of the market. The hog market is
right
through Sioux Falls, owned by the Chinese government or company. I don't know if the government owns it.
Well, they're closing down because the Chinese brought it.
Yeah,
they brought COVID-19,
as I like to call it. Oh,
or 9, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah, COVID-19.
Is that what it is?
COVID-19.
COVID-19.
A coronavirus.
Yeah, you question me, so I question myself.
Oh, no, don't question yourself. Oh, man. Oh, this is just taking a deep dive into weirdness. But, yeah.
Well, you knew that's what was going to happen if it was just the two of us, and we were left to our own devices.
Yeah, we need that.
So anyway, sorry.
That's all right.
I'm a little looser tonight than I usually am, so.
I think it's the shades, dude.
I'm wearing shades tonight.
Yeah, that's because
I don't get to be. I don't.
Bright.
It is bright. I'm feeling it. It's the only time of the day I get to be cool, because the rest of the day my family says I can't be cool or I'm not cool. So
yeah, well, that's what happens when you have
shades. Always make you cool. When you're wearing shades inside, it makes you cool.
That's right. All right.
Anyway, so had we known what we know now when we first started this journey, would you still have started a podcast?
Oh yeah, this has been a blast. Especially and I know we talked about in our Zero podcast that, we spent a lot of time, about a month and a half, just even figuring out what we wanted to focus on. But man, I think, from the responses we got from a lot of the people, some of the people that listen, they're hearing things that they normally wouldn't hear. And so they're excited about it, to give a voice to visual artists. So I think I would do it again. I'm just trying to figure out how we continue to do it and do our weekly, interview during this weirdness, because I do miss coming down to Denver.
Well, and for those of you that might just be listening for the first time, usually our method is that we go on location to wherever the artist is, their studio or what have you, their space, and interview them in their space, which we both really enjoy doing. But obviously in this circumstance, we can't do that. So we're trying out the whole Zoom thing. And we plan on starting next week having new interviews with artists and giving you the kind of the diversity that we've been able to give our audience so far. So we're looking forward to that. I'm looking at, getting back on the horse. So,
so let me throw the question back at you. So knowing what you know now and everything that we're going through, would you start a podcast like this again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Kind of figured that would be your answer.
I would have learned how to use Zoom about 6 months ago, though, so I would have been a pro.
Yeah, I kind of, and this is kind of an excuse, I don't know, but I always say, things are a process, and it kind of happens organically in my case. And, like I've been dealing with or been planning on doing a podcast for, it's been, I think, almost 5 years now. And, I started, like we had talked about before, I'd started one, and then, just kind of got hung up in the post. And then you came along, and that really got my, my butt in gear. And I feel an obligation that, to keep things rolling. And while you were talking about, the fact that we go to them and to the artists and to their homes and studios, I just been blown away by the hospitality that we've gotten. You know, they welcome us right into their homes. They welcome us right into their studio. We get to see, you know, things from their perspective as far as, you know, their setup and everything like that. And that's just been really cool, I think. So.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate in that not only who we've had the opportunity to interview, but just how, like you said, how open they've been to doing it. And for somebody that, especially initially when we first started doing this, and we didn't really, we didn't have anything to show or for anybody to listen to. For those artists like, you know, Bob Ragland and Stevan Lucero and Jay and Jerry Jaramillo, that was really kind of them. It was really kind of them to give us their time and their willingness to sit down and talk. And I would say that about every single person that we've interviewed. Yeah. They've all been very gracious with their time, and they've all been interesting. You know, I've taken something away from every single one of those interviews, and it's been a fun journey. You know, I always enjoy listening to people's stories.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I got into it, is I just love hearing people's stories and why they do the things they do. And, you know, once again, I'm kind of repeating myself from our first episode or episode 0. But man, those stories are, you know, the stuff we've heard from like Leo, you know, and him growing up in Texas, and then obviously, you know, Ed Dwight and his story of being the first African-American astronaut candidate. I mean, his stories are just mind-blowing. You know, and have that opportunity to go into their house or their studio and listen to their story it's a privilege, and I feel honored that we can do that. So,
absolutely. So, knowing what you know now, is there anybody in particular that you would like to get on the podcast?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, it's. The people, I got a laundry list of people that I want to do, especially up here, up in South Dakota, because we have some amazing artists. You know, of course, now I'm going to forget all their names, but Dale Lamphere, for instance, he did Dignity, that's in Chamberlain, South Dakota, which is this, I think it's like 40 feet high or 45 feet high. It's this huge Native American woman with a blanket. He's just a phenomenal sculpturist, and you know, so I definitely, he's high on my list. You know, I'm really interested in, you know, getting to some really top-notch museums and listen to how they curate and who they pick, why they pick, and how they pick who they pick, and how they keep things rolling, because that's got to be an expensive venture when you get to, you know, like the Denver Art Museum or whatever. So getting to talk to those kind of people, and there's just a ton of great artists down in, you know, Colorado that, you know, we just scratched the very surface, but we've had some, I mean, every time we talk to somebody down there, is like, I almost get the fear, like, how do we top this one? Because each one of them just brings something so cool to the whole podcast. So how about you?
You know, I also have my laundry list of people. So, I'm starting to look at my list and kind of curate my my mixed tape of podcasts here, with you know, sprinkling some painters with some more photographers. I definitely want to get some more photographers on, and I think we'll have an opportunity or two to talk to some gallery owners. So I'm looking forward to that. And then some of the artists that you've told me about that you have on your list, I'm excited for those as well. So it's just taken a different, you know, a different path with this whole thing, and so I'm interested to see how it is when we just do it over the internet.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and that'll be the challenge, you know, because I'm sure some of the artists don't have the, you know, the technical stuff that we do, but, you know, just an iPhone or, you know, a smartphone with a headset, that should be plenty good as far as quality. Been watching a lot of, obviously, you know, everybody in New York and LA and all that are doing their podcasts or their TV stuff, and, you know, their quality is no better than what we have. So we're right uptown. So,
anyway, so I'm looking forward to all those interviews with these different artists, and I'm curious to see. We've gotten a lot of good feedback from people, but I'm curious to see if we can, what we can do with our listenership, adding video to it, and also, allowing people to see the artists themselves. So
yeah.
I think that'll be interesting to see how that goes and how we fare with that.
Yeah. I'm sure we're going to have some of them there. Like I can't remember who it was, but I think one of them, when we first started talking about doing a podcast with him, they even said, "It's not video, is it?" And we said, "No, it's just audio." So, okay, cool. I don't remember who it was, but somebody said that. It's like,
I remember that too, but I don't remember which interview that was.
And not that I would say anyway, but yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. So, but.
So what are your takeaways as far as, like if you just jumped into this podcast here, what are some of the things that
as a listener,
as an interviewer and participant,
from my perspective,
and if you're like, what have you taken away from these interviews? What's an interesting thing that you found out about, or you thought, hey, that was a good tip?
Yeah, and it's probably because it's fairly recent. And I'll tip my hat to Ed Dwight when basically his whole theme was be prepared, because he was prepared all along the way, even though he was preparing when he didn't even know what he was preparing for, and then he produced, and that was the other thing. So the takeaway from like the Ed Dwight thing is like be prepared and produce, do something. Like he wrote in our books, didn't he write something like do something? I think that's is actually what he said, not do something, right? So That's a huge takeaway. And I think they've all added something that if you're an artist, there's things you can take away. There's little tidbits, how to sell. I mean, obviously, Bob Ragland's podcast was nothing but big tips, like snail mail, go to the library if you don't know anything, read a book. Those kind of things are just, they're just real practical things that you can do to make a living. So I appreciate that. How about you? Do you have a takeaway that you want to share?
I would say all of Bob's tips carry weight. And then as we progressed and went down the road, a lot of what Bob says is what Detour, if you read his book or if you've listened to that podcast, he echoes the same thing, but it's incorporating more of the modern tools. So take what Bob said as a foundation and apply it to this, and all of Bob's stuff still works. Oh, yeah. But Detour takes it to another level because he's younger and he has, he's really embraced social media as a platform to help sell his art and promote himself. He's good at it.
And like Bob's shoebox art, everything like $100. You can pick out in this shoebox and it's $100. If you don't think that works, then just turn on to Michael Untied, who said basically the same thing. When he needed some extra cash, he painted 50 paintings, and then he had a sale where people bid on it, and the starting bid was $100. Yeah. You can sell something, at different price marks, you can make a living.
I don't think you should undercut yourself, but right. What you said was exactly true. Like you need to have something for everybody at every price point. Right. So I've been on First Friday where, artists had stickers of their artwork and magnets of their artwork and, other items that you could buy that had their art on it. And right. So after talking to Bob and then just seeing what other people do, I'm like, seems like the smartest ones are when you're offering, something for everyone, and
Right.
you're gonna generate some kind of income.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
now
And
you might have to work hard just to do that, obviously, because you're gonna have to churn out a lot more product, or
right.
just depending on how you do it. But
Right.
at the same time, there's no reason, even in this weird place that we are right now, and not a really rosy forecast in the future, I still think you can make money. You just got
Right.
to get more creative. And
Yeah.
I think artists are some of the most resourceful people on the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're the ones that figure it out. So there's a reason why they're artists, because they don't really like working for other people. And to a certain extent, at least, and they like to call their own shots. So you figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
And you can figure that out in a good economy, and you can figure that out in a bad economy.
And I want to make a point that, or I guess, just kind of move on, or continue to move on a point that you made. Sorry, I'm fumbling through my words, but you made a statement saying, don't undercut yourself, don't undervalue what you do. And that, I think what Bob does, and what Michael Unti does when he needed extra cash, they do those little 5x7s, the shoebox art. And, you definitely can't undercut, if you're selling a piece for $24,000, you can't turn around and sell it for $800. But if you're offering something else that's smaller, and, the value is going to be a little less, or, it's going to be, you can set your price margin down a little bit. You're not undervaluing yourself. You're just actually providing other works of art that maybe somebody else like me can't afford, so now I'm in the price point where I can go out and buy a couple pieces. So I think the point you made about you don't want to undervalue yourself is very true, but there's ways to work around it.
Absolutely. I saw that Detour had done a portrait of Dave Chappelle that was commissioned, and if I remember correctly, he said that the buyer last minute couldn't swing it, so he went and made prints of that original piece and started selling those. And I don't remember what he was selling them for. I want to say $95, but maybe it was more. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, but he made prints of it so he could move some, which he did. And then, just from his posts on using social media, he actually found another buyer for that Chappelle. So, right. So, I mean, there you go, right there. That just proves that you can still make money. You just need to figure out the different avenue streams.
Right. And I liked one of the things that Michael Unti, and I'm going to go back to him for a second. He said he tried to sell prints and it just didn't work in his, what he was doing. He didn't feel it was working for him. So then he's like, my clients, the people that buy art from me, want originals. So he doesn't do prints. But then you got somebody like, Joe, who he sells his stuff on mugs, or he'll the black faces of rock. He'll sell his stuff on a t-shirt. He'll sell his stuff on a mug. You can order through, I think, Etsy and some of those other places. So, mm-hmm. It works for him. So you got to find what works for you, and then just kind of stick to your guns. But I think what people should be doing now, if I was making a living as an artist, which I don't, it's kind of a side gig for me, the photography thing. But if I was going full bore art right now, I'd be producing, like, this would be my production time. I'd be out putting out tons, doing as much painting and as much sculptures or whatever. And I know it's a process, but this would be my production time, because I can't sell, in the traditional ways.
Right. I'll be curious to talk to, some of these other artists, but I imagine that I don't think they probably changed their process at all. I'm imagining that they're working the same that they always do. Right. I don't think Stefan Lucero is doing anything different.
Right. And maybe not. Yeah. I just think as a layman,
I think he gets up and every day he's painting, mm-hmm. Unless he's not feeling good or something. Well, I think he probably paints even if he doesn't feel good.
In Lucero's case, it's not in the morning. It's late at night.
Right? It's like Frank Zappa. Zappa always worked he got up in the evening and worked all through the night.
Yeah. But I just remember him saying, like, he works, like, the evenings is when he works. And when I say evenings, I'm saying early mornings. But, yeah, I mean, you're probably right. They're just doing their thing. They're just not doing, shows or, whatever. But
no, it'll be interesting to see how, talking to these artists, how much are already selling stuff online and how much they move online, and if they've seen an uptick at all with that, or if, because everybody is kind of in this holding pattern, if everybody's just kind of holding on to their money. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and
what do you think is going on right now? You think people are holding on to their money, or do you think they're they're buying TVs and stuff?
No, I think people are buying.
Do you think once they get those checks in the mail, you think there'll be a lot of TV buying?
There might be. Yeah, they'll be upgrading their internet, buying TVs. or going out and devastating the toilet paper market. I don't know. So I heard there's toilet paper back in the market, but I don't know. I got lucky the other day.
It's going to be a run on meat. That's what
for sure. Well, and
as they close down these plants, people are going to flip out and they're going to buy up.
Now they're going to think there's a shortage of pork chops and bacon, and there'll be a run on the stores.
How the hell could you live without bacon?
Well, you can't. But anyway, I think people are saving their money. I think people aren't making money. There's a lot of, obviously there's the ones that make money no matter what. There's a small segment of the population that's probably making more money now than they did 3 months ago because of whatever they're doing. They're working overtime. The 3M plant in Aberdeen, they're working like 12-hour shifts. I think they're open 6 or 7 days a week and they're one of the largest producers of medical masks in the country, and they're in Aberdeen, South Dakota. I didn't even know that until I read about it on the news. But they've increased their work hours to keep up with the demand. I heard, and I don't know if this is true, but somebody had told me that Walmart made like almost twice as much money this last few months than they did like the same months a year ago. And I don't know if it's true, but if they were making $30,000 a day, they're making $60,000 now. But, they're probably still getting the same amount of product, but you don't find it because everybody's out buying it. Meats are gone, toilet paper's gone, paper towels are gone, cleaning stuff is gone. So there are people that are still making money, but then there's a lot of people that are hurting units. Me, I'm living off some savings now, and that'll only last so long. I know you're not getting the work that you are accustomed to, so, the income is probably, I'm assuming, drying up a little bit or slowing down anyway to a drip.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see how this all shakes out. But I say it's going to be worse than, the recession of 2008 or whatever it was.
Yeah, they're talking equivalent to the depression of the 30s.
But they won't call it a depression.
No, they won't.
They want to call it a recession.
Right.
So
now we're
I don't care. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is you got to figure out how to make it work.
On that note, I just read tonight that the National Endowment of the Arts is actually putting together some grant money for artists to apply for. So that I think there's some of that's working in their favor, but then there's a lot of nonprofits that are not getting their typical, so they're suffering that, the nonprofits that support visual artists. So I think there's a little bit of, like in all the different markets, there's a little bit of uncertainty that, that artists are going to go through, but man, I hope they can just hold out. If they can hold out for the long haul, I think things will recover fast. That's my thoughts. I might be completely wrong, but
yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out. My gut feeling is that it'll recover fast too. Mm-hmm. I think if things go back to some kind of semblance in a reasonable amount of time, and I don't even know what that is right at the moment, but, by sometime this summer for sure, if we can kind of get back to at least some of that, I think we'll be okay.
Right. There's definitely going to be the companies that are going to go under because they just can't pull it off. And there's going to be people that lose their jobs permanently and will have to find work in other industries or other companies, but, man, it's tough times. I feel for people. So.
Absolutely. And everybody's kind of in the same boat. Yeah. So.
Well, and money doesn't buy you health. I mean,
that's the other thing.
We've witnessed celebrities dying just as much as the school teacher or the custodian at the hospital or a teacher in, and I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head some of the headlines I've read, but then you have John Prime, obviously he was older. He had suffered 2 bouts of cancer that he survived, and, it just laid him down. And, so money won't save you. And then you got people like Tom Hanks, and, they came down with it early, but his symptoms, from my understanding, was a lot less than his wife's. And, but, they made it through along with a lot of other people that are making it through. So anyway, I just hope, knock on wood, that my family will make it through this, and I hope our listeners' families make it through this, and your family, and we come unscathed. But man, there's a lot of people that are hurting.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't know, like you said, how it's going to affect any one individual. Mm-hmm. You could have absolutely no symptoms whatsoever.
Right.
Be completely, asymptomatic but still a carrier and still infecting people. Yeah. So that's kind of the scary thing.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that scares me or gives me pause, and we've talked about it, but is the people, once you go to the hospital, that's it. Your families, they can't come. So you're laying in that hospital bed, or your loved one's laying in that hospital bed dying for, hopefully, and if they do die, your family isn't going to be able to come and, sit with you. You're kind of relying on, the kindness of a nurse and maybe some slow time that could sit down and hold your hand and help you through it. But man, to go through this alone, I spent 14 days in Fargo, North Dakota when my dad was having open heart surgery, and I can't imagine not being able to be there with him, and probably him not imagining me not being there to help him through this. He had some great nursing staff and everything, but just to know that he's in the hospital and I can't visit would just be crushing. So I feel for families that are suffering through that. My heart
Absolutely. It sounds terrible. Sounds horrible. Yeah. We talked to, Barb, my wife, talked to a friend of ours tonight, and his wife works for the coroner's office here. And, they said that they can't even do anything with the bodies once they pass, because that virus lives for like 4 days.
Oh, wow.
So they're just taking the bodies and, storing them in the freezer and waiting until they're, they can deal with them. Sounds pretty dismal.
It does. So is Denver getting hit pretty bad as far as deaths? It's bad no matter how many it is, but
I think we've kind of leveled out a little bit. So I think as a whole, we've done pretty well as a state, but we'll see if we can continue to do that.
Right.
I mean, people are still dying. I don't know what our numbers are, to be honest with you. I kind of quit reading all the coronavirus stuff on a daily basis because I found it really depressing. And not that I don't want to educate myself. I want to focus on positive stuff.
Sure.
In fact, one of the things is that I haven't really been on social media all that much because I just want to see all the craziness, and there's tons of crazy.
Oh,
like I could pick up my phone and open up social media right now and just read you crazy shit. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
I know.
I don't want to see it, man.
Yeah.
Just, I don't want to see it. If I could, if, and some of the stuff that, is fed is from the media, and some of it is just crazy, it's crazy stuff that people are posting that I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not true. And they're just, they're reposting falsehoods. Right. And I don't know. I don't want to taint my perspective or my outlook.
Right. No, I totally get that.
I want to focus on the positive. So
yeah, no, I totally get that.
And hopefully as we continue to do this, we hear that positiveness come through with these artists.
Right.
And if not, hopefully we can bring some of that to them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been kind of interested in, like how has the art world changed since all this coronavirus? And, one of the things I was looking into is how many, I won't, and I don't have a number, but all the museums that are doing virtual tours of their facility of different artworks and different things, but like the J. Paul Getty Museum in LA and the Vatican Museum in Rome and the Natural History Museum in London, and in cities in Brazil and South Korea, and then there's like Amsterdam and Paris, and all over that they're providing really quality tours of their artwork and their collections. So I thought that was an interesting way to kind of keep the art world going in this time where we're can't visit a big museum or art gallery. So I wonder if there's any art galleries that are doing that, like smaller ones, like I'm sure Georgia's probably not doing that, but do you know of any galleries or anything that are kind of doing little online,
the virtual,
kind of virtual
the galleries? You know what, I don't know off the top of my head. I know the Kirkland Museum that we went and hung out with or hung out at not too long ago. I know they have a virtual tour that's up and running. And
good.
I haven't checked it out, but you know what, we should do that. We should take some tours of that are offered at least here locally in Denver, and I don't know if they're doing anything like that in South Dakota.
Yeah, but I can't imagine they are, but who knows? I'm not sure.
We'll do some research and see.
Yeah. And since I mentioned George's name, I thought this was interesting. I recall her saying at the beginning of this coronavirus outbreak, that she got some commissions that she normally hadn't gotten, because of some of this, not because of the COVID-19 virus, but, she's still getting commission work. And I thought that was kind of cool that people are still hiring and Detour.
Right, exactly. So because we've met all these people, I do know that some people are definitely still selling stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that is for other artists, as we meet new ones and interview them.
And I want to touch base with like people like Jay, because he does so many murals, how that he's been affected from that. And speaking of that, the other thing that I've been noticing a lot online is a lot of street artists and muralists are just going crazy with some political art or definitely coronavirus specific kind of art. And I was looking at, there was a news thing on, I think New York Times or one of those, that showed different pictures of murals throughout the world. And man, there was some really cool stuff. There was one in Israel where it was the globe, a painting of a globe, and then the coronavirus was with a zipper. And it was like the zipper was closing on the earth with the coronavirus, as the coat, the garment that was enclosing the earth. That was kind of interesting looking.
Oh, I went dark.
You went dark.
I went dark.
But I can still see your shades, dude. It's
good.
Awesome. Yeah. So you got that timer on that light. So
we must have been talking for an hour.
We've been recording for 41 minutes.
Oh, and I was on before that. So,
yeah. So anyway, I can still see you. So I thought that was kind of cool. These street artists and muralists are still out, they're still out there pounding the pavement and making a statement.
And I think they should. And I think this is a time, this is a time to have your voice heard and to be making a statement. If that's, I think there's a place to look at beautiful art and relax and enjoy a pretty picture, whatever. And I think there's a time where, if you are one to make statements or what have you with your art, now would be the time to do it. Cause I think there's a lot of talk about out there.
Right. Yeah. And this is how this is done. This is how we get social justice. Is one of the arms is through, through the judicial system, and the other arm is through, our culture, through art and music and poetry and short stories and, novels and theater and film. All those things play a part in social justice and getting out their political point of view. And I stand behind them. Even if I don't agree with them, I stand behind them. So we need to see more of that.
And we'll see how it pans out here in the next few months with the election coming up and all that, and how the rest of this virus stuff shakes out and our economy. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot of issues to be addressed for sure. Anything else that you want to talk about this evening?
No, but I do want to, for our listeners that are, tuning in, and, if there's somebody you want us to talk to, especially now that we're doing it remotely, if I can get access to David Hockney, I would do it. If I could get access to Cheech Marin and talk about collecting Chicano art, I would do it. If you're an art collector or you're an artist and you want to be on our podcast, we're here. I mean, I'm all for it. So,
Good point. Good point. Yeah. If you'd like to be on the podcast, or somebody that would be good for the podcast, please reach out to us. Yeah. We'll have our info embedded in the show notes, and yeah, look forward to our next interview.
Yeah, I'm actually even thinking about connecting up with a medium and seeing if we can talk to Van Gogh or Picasso on the other side. And I know it didn't work for Houdini, but I don't know. I think it's worth a shot. Just kidding. I don't know any mediums that. Well, that's not true. I probably do know a couple mediums that talk to dead people, but we won't go there. So
I think you should line it up, man.
I should.
I think people will be interested.
I don't know. Van Gogh, Picasso, Leonardo. I mean, should we go big? Leonardo da Vinci, or DiCaprio. He's still alive, though.
Let's go to DiCaprio.
Yeah. Does he collect art?
I don't know. Probably. If you have that kind of money, you probably do.
Yeah, just as a write-off, if nothing else. So, collectors. Anyway, collectors, museums, galleries, artists, people that love art. We want to talk art. So, I don't know. Maybe that's too broad, but what do you think?
Yeah. If you like art, call us. Call Wes.
That's right. My number's on
any day, any time, any hour.
Oh, yeah.
You jump out of bed and you go, I love art. Call Wes.
Oh, man. Let me tell you a little story about my time as a radio DJ in college.
Yeah, go for it.
I did this. It was a Friday night, and I was doing the late night shift. It was in the evening, and I was, turning some records, and I thought I had the bright idea of calling. So I bought a 12-pack of soda earlier that day, and I brought it in. I'm like, so I got ballsy and said, the first caller that calls in, this is yours. The 12-pack of Coke, it's yours for free. Just the first caller. I went home with that Coke that night. So nobody called me. I don't think anybody was listening.
I feel like that's a sad story.
It is a sad story. It's also kind of funny. It's also kind of funny, though. You can't take yourself too serious,
I agree. So I don't ever take myself that seriously.
And I had a great time as a DJ. I probably sucked at it, but I had a great time. I think I used the old fake DJ voice, too. That's kind of sad, but Anyway,
I always wanted to try. I always wanted to be a DJ. I wanted to try my hand on it.
Yeah, I got a friend who's
that's why I'm doing this.
DJ. Yeah, or whatever they call him, and he does morning talk on, well, not talk, but on a heavy metal station, and he's phenomenal to listen to.
Here or there in
here in Rapid City, yeah. He went to college with me. He goes by God dang it, Kevin Morgan. Sorry, it took me a minute. Kevin Morgan. So in the morning.
Nice plug for Kevin.
Yeah.
Let's see if he reciprocates.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But anyway. So other than that, is there anything you want to add or want to talk about?
No, I think we covered everything. I mean, we hope everybody's hanging in there. I know it's a little crazy. I see it. I see people slowly cracking on social media. Probably not a good place to be publicly losing your mind, but whatever it takes. Like I feel for you, because there's been times where I've wanted to not lose it, but just kind of in a funk. Right. I've been, trying to occupy myself with other things, doing those little tasks that sometimes I put off, playing some guitar, learning some guitar, which has been kind of nice. I started some sourdough starter, like a lot of people in this time have, and I made my first batch of bread a little over a week ago. I'm making another batch this week.
Cool.
I planted one garden bed, and so I have vegetables coming up, and started some seeds indoors too. So that's been kind of fun and occupying my time. But yeah, just trying to, I've read articles where they say, this can be a really creative time, but if you're not in that creative mode, don't feel like there's something, don't feel bad about it. In other words,
right.
Everybody is processing this stuff in different ways. So
yeah, the one thing I've been doing as far as like because I'm still going to work every day. So that has.
What do you do when you get there? Do you just sit in a cubicle?
No, I said, I'd send out emails, do follow-ups, phone calls.
Do you have your own space or?
Yeah. I have an office, little window behind me and my computer. And today,
like an enclosed office.
Yeah, I can shut the door, and I have my assistant is in the office right next to me, and so we're all still plugging away, and so, but. And then the evenings I come home and I'm tired, and we binge watch a lot of crap on TV, but that's kind of how I am anyway.
We could talk about that real quick, because people are probably listening thinking, I've binge watched all my shows. What should I be watching now? So go.
What am I watching now? We just started the Ozark. With Justin Bateman. Really interesting.
Ozark
show.
Is awesome.
Yeah, that's a good show. So here's our go-tos. Like even tonight I came home, we made dinner, sat down, we watched murder. So Criminal Minds, murder all the time. And then my wife will say, okay, enough of the murder, and go for Frasier or something. But yeah, there's some, and I watched Pollard, I think is the name, the actor that did Hannibal, the TV series, played Hannibal in that. That was interesting. It was definitely different. But watch some of that. But yeah, we binge watch a lot of different things. I can't even think. We finished Dance Academy a couple weeks ago. Australian ballet. Oh my God. I'm just pathetic. But, my wife started watching. Next thing I know, I'm all into the characters, and, and it's ballet. So what's not to like? How about you? What are you watching?
So we just finished Ozark, and so that was really good. I wasn't into it the first go around, but sometimes I'm like that with shows.
Yeah.
I was like that with The Wire. The Wire. If you've never seen The Wire, you should watch The Wire.
And that's addicting, man. You'll lose a weekend for sure.
Right.
Or more.
Sopranos were a great series. Watch The Sopranos. Breaking Bad was a great series. What else did we finish up?
What did you think of El Camino? The movie El Camino. What did you think?
It was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, It was just all right. I could take it or leave it, really.
I was kind of surprised they did it because
I think people need closure.
Yeah.
And same with the Deadwood movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I haven't.
Did you watch the Deadwood?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't?
And I'm a huge Deadwood fan. I love that movie. I
know. I mean, when it was on, we talked about it all the time.
Yeah. That's when I lived in Denver. So
right.
it was, yeah. I didn't miss an episode.
And that guy is a phenomenal writer, and the characters were really rich. Yeah. So I enjoyed that show.
Another one that I didn't get into that I didn't watch when it first came out was Longmire. But when I binge watched it, then this has been like a year or two ago. But man, I love that goddamn show, and I was really disappointed when they took it off the air. But that was a great show, great acting, great story.
Well, it's just something you could watch and just kind of turn your brain off, right?
And it's in Wyoming. What's not to like about that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, filmed in that little town.
In New Mexico. Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Yeah, that's right. Las Vegas. Been there. I think I spent a night there once. That was interesting.
You got to go into the town. You can't just no offense to people if you live in Las Vegas, New Mexico, but if you just stopped, and they know this, if you just stopped like right off the highway, like at one of those gas stations at hotels, you would never get a sense of how awesome it is.
They have two school districts there. They have Las Vegas and Las Vegas West. Two separate school districts in that little town. I was reading about it. Yeah. Yeah, because I was watching something else and they brought it up and I had to Google because I'm a Google freak. I like to do a lot of research when I'm watching crap. But anyway, Tonet and I stopped in there when we lived in Colorado. We went down to Santa Fe. And boy, we'd misjudged hotel rooms, and there was no rooms in the end. I felt like Joseph, and luckily Tonet wasn't pregnant with Jesus. But we ended up in Las Vegas, and we found the last room. Sorry, that just totally went downhill.
No way.
I probably just lost like a dozen listeners just because I made a Jesus joke. We got a room in Las Vegas, spent the night, but it was a scary room. I don't know, but we didn't have any choice. And then the next morning we were in Santa Fe, and my line tonight can't get any better than that. So, hey, but this is what I do on the weekends when I'm not working. On the weekend when it's nice. Last weekend, not so nice. I shoveled snow, but I went to Custer State Park and seen the buffalo and antelope and all that. And then next day I was at Devil's Tower. And then the next weekend on Sunday, I went to the Badlands. So I've been getting out and social distancing out in, of course, with about, 50 other people. I wouldn't say 1,000 because there wasn't that many people. But
you're in your car. You're not getting out, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I got out and I walked around, but, we didn't hang out with people. I gave people a lot of space even when I was there. But, man, it was nice to get out. And it was in the 60s. And, oh, shit, it was beautiful. And took some great shots of some bighorn sheep in the Badlands. So I've been doing a little bit of that on weekends when I can. So that's a lifesaver. Otherwise, if I had to stay in my house for 2 weeks straight without leaving, I would probably get cabin fever.
See, I think that's why it hasn't been quite as bad for me because I'm a homebody anyway. Mm-hmm. So if I don't have a reason to go out, which is pretty much work or back in the days where people could be close together, I used to go occasionally do yoga or, we do the first Friday thing, stuff like that.
Right.
But I'm not like out and about all the time. And I can, in the wintertime, when I'm slow and stuff, other than, running some, a quick errand or taking a kid to school or picking them up, I kind of hole up anyway. So I don't think it's been as bad for me. I think it's bad for my kids. I think my kids I think they're doing really well. But I think the kids are feeling it hardcore. Oh, sure. I know my wife, who is way more social than I am, is definitely feeling it. Yeah. But she has to talk on the phone all day. And so she gets some of that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, she talked to my wife the other day.
I know.
For lunch and they were chit-chatting via
I know.
video.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So
we were talking about something and she's like, oh yeah, Tonet didn't mention, I think we were talking about doing this podcast or something. And she's like, Tonet didn't mention anything about us doing this tonight or something else. I don't know. Anyway.
That's because I don't mention anything to Tonet about doing a podcast.
Anyway, I had no idea she had talked to your wife.
She knew I was going to do it tonight, like a couple hours ago when I told her.
Same with Barb.
Anyway.
By the way, we're going to do our podcast.
Yeah.
I thought you guys did the podcast last night. No, we were just making sure we got the technical things out.
And turn down Frasier. That's what I told her. And turn it down just a little bit. So she's in there watching something. I don't know if it's Frasier, but it wouldn't surprise me. But
Frasier's like we discussed this yesterday or whenever too. Yeah. Frasier's like a warm blanket, man.
It is. And I like Frasier. Don't get me wrong, I like him, but anyway, I won't get weird about our
You're not going to get weird?
Well, okay, any more weird than I already have about our viewing habits. But yeah, she watches a lot of Frasier, which, once I get sucked into it, I'll bust out 3 or 4 episodes. That's not a hard thing to do. But yeah. The thing about being, like, if I was in Colorado and the governor said, you ain't leaving your house, or California or New York, then I'd be like, no, but I got to leave my house because I can't stand it anymore. It's the fact that somebody told me I can't do it is why I'd want to do it.
I think that's most Americans. Everybody wants their freedom, and they're not used to being told what to do.
And Governor Noem refuses to tell people what to do. She said it's their responsibility.
And you can make your own choice. There's plenty of people out there. They're not like shooting people in the streets or arresting people.
Man, I seen some riots.
They closed down some parks. They closed down Civic Center Park, which they should have anyway, because it's just a big cesspool these days anyway.
And our mayor did this very similar thing, but the hiking paths in town are busy as they always are, and maybe even more. So, but they're outside. Hopefully they're maintaining some distance, but they're getting some fresh air. Or some coronavirus air. Whatever.
It's up to you to do what you think is right. So.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that's how I've been spending my time.
I'd like to watch more documentaries, and I'd like to read books.
I watched 4 or 5 hours of Frontline the other night. I told you that. And it was from 2018, but man, his voice, Lyman's voice, is just like melted butter. I wish I had his voice. I can listen to him, and I'm going to say it wrong, Liev Schreiber. Yeah. And he does his stuff. Oh my God.
Good job.
Oh,
you could have totally decimated that name, and you actually did it well. Don't say it again.
I won't. But that dude has an amazing voice. And I just wish I had a voice like that, because man, I can listen to those two guys all day long without a problem, because they're just amazing. I think the other guy's name is Will Lyman? Bob Lyman? I can't remember now. Shoot. But he's really good. You've heard the Frontline guy, the narrator from most of those Frontline movie shows.
Probably if you showed it to me. I don't watch that much TV. I really don't. I binge watch series if it's either something really mindless, like I told you before, we were binge watching Third Rock from the Sun, which I think was a great show. It's funny as all get up. Yeah. But maybe that's just me.
No, it is funny. That's hilarious.
I just thought the writing was really spectacular, and the characters and the actors are pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
But
John Lithgow.
So it's something.
That dude's
I know.
Actor.
That guy's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then French Stewart, Harry.
Yeah.
That dude is so funny.
He's funny. But John Lithgow, if he's out there and if he collects art, I'll talk to you. Just call me. Yeah,
if you're a celebrity and collect art, we want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I don't really care about celebrity, but
it's not the celebrity thing, but
But you probably have a good art collection because you have a lot of money.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Not that I think that does kind of dictate how much art you have, but anyway, you know what I miss more than anything in this whole thing? I was thinking.
What's that?
I miss going and seeing live music.
Oh yeah, you're a freak when it comes to live music.
And
I'm not as
the last time we saw a concert was the end of February.
Yeah.
And I think it's not like I haven't gone this long before without a concert, but I usually have one like in the very near future. Actually, we do have tickets, but it's not going to happen. We were going to go see Britt Floyd at Red Rocks.
Oh yeah.
which is it's a
tribute
Pink
band.
Floyd. Yeah. And those guys are phenomenal. So I am kind of disappointed that I'm not going to get to see that.
I would love to see that because I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan.
Man, they are awesome. We saw them once before, and if you closed your eyes and just sat there and listening, you would have no idea that it wasn't Pink Floyd playing.
Right. Which one's Pink?
Exactly.
And by the way, which one's Pink? Last concert I went to was Dave Matthews Band. That at Fiddler's Green. And that's how long ago it's been. And I mean, I'll catch local people here, but as far as big concerts and stuff, yeah, Dave Matthews, phenomenal. It was he did a great set. It was awesome. And then, Rush and Adele, Rush with You, that was
right.
How lucky could we have been? Their final tour, No,
that was phenomenal. That was amazing.
And you and Doug went to see John Prine a number of times, didn't you? Up in Boulder, and
I saw John Prine back in the 90s.
I thought you and Doug went to him.
I saw last concert I think I saw with Doug. It was a long time ago, man. Yeah. We saw it was Guy Clark. So that tells you how long it was, because he's been dead for like 4 or 5 years now, maybe longer. No, longer than that. Shit. I think. Anyway, it was Guy Clark.
What's the other Clark?
Guy Clark, Joe Ely, John Hyatt, and
John Hyatt. That's
Lyle,
guys.
Lyle Lovett.
Yeah.
And they did an acoustic show at I think it was the Boulder Theater.
Yeah, I think. I just remember you guys going, and I was jealous. I didn't get invited to play reindeer games, but
I think I've been reading some things saying that they don't think that they're going to have concert venues open until maybe it could be as far out as fall 2021. That's a long time, man.
That doesn't even make sense to me. I just can't wrap my head around that. Like another year. And I told you my cousin Casey actually runs sound for a number of different bands, and I can't imagine I'll have to reach out to him and see what I know. You
should, man. He'd be interesting to talk to, even though he's not visual artist.
Yeah.
We could talk to him. He's an artist.
I mean, he's traveled with some Smokey Robertson. He's running sound for Smokey, and then Kevin Costner's band, Bruce Willis band. But and then he runs sound for one of the hard rock cafes in L.A. or whatever. But and I know he's like confined to, all those people in California are confined to their homes right now too. So I know he's not doing much, but man, I can't imagine, those people are really impacted by that. They're roadies, and, they hire a big crew, to do these shows. And I can't imagine being off the road for another year. That just doesn't even register with me.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how it pans out. I'm not happy about it, 'cause I like my live music.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things.
Well, yeah, we even talked about doing a rock and roll or a music podcast, so you never know. Maybe we'll sprinkle some musicians in with our visual artists at some point. Well, we had a good time talking to Joe Ziegler, and we talked about Black Faces of Rock and his other series, and we had a good time talking about.
I like talking music anytime, man.
Yeah. Robert Johnson, James Brown.
Anyway, so that's what we've been up to. This is where we're at. We will start having new interviews starting next week. And so hopefully you're going to be looking forward to that. We ask that you please take a moment and, as if you don't have enough time on your hands already, but giving us a rating on whatever platform that you listen to the podcast, and maybe a review, that would be much appreciated. And then, as always, if you're on social media, please feel free to always share it with your community of people. I think even if you're not an artist, I think people find value in the stories that all these wonderful people have to tell. So please feel free to do that, and we really appreciate your support.
Yeah, we love your support. Kudos to all the people that are listening to us. We really appreciate it. I know one of our big fans, my niece, She told my wife she goes to bed listening to us. So awesome. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
She just like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Either we're really boring and if she falls asleep really quick, or she just likes to hear our silky, sexy voices when she's going to bed. I don't know. But I appreciate
she's
anybody.
She's going to listen to this and just be creeped out. Dude.
I know. Well, that's all right. She's a good girl, though. I like her. She's a sweetie.
How old is she?
Oh, she's, I don't know, 19, 20, 21.
Okay.
Geez, that should know, huh? It's Tonette's niece. But she lives in...
Does she live in Denver?
She lives in Colorado, yep, up by Broomfield or... Not Broomfield, Brighton. Well, I don't know, up there.
That's
Westminster
cool.
area.
What's her name again?
Ali. See, you threw me on the spot. Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it. Sorry, your uncle's kind of a whack job.
He is a whack job. Oh, you mean me? Yeah, I am a whack job.
Anyway, no, he's a good guy.
No, so we do appreciate all the listeners. Thank you for continuing to listen. Thanks for your support. Share with your friends. Anyway, so thanks, Todd, for setting up the Zoom tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And until next week, this is Tenet.